Hello everyone, welcome back. Smothered Run here once again. Shogun 2 multiplayer avatar battle. This is at Tranquil Streams, and I'm facing a very familiar opponent. And actually, I'll put a link in the description here to the video. My opponent actually posted a video from his perspective of this battle, so I'll put a link of that video in the description because yeah, it's pretty funny hearing somebody else have a reaction to your own missteps and misfortunes. So, anyways, so here we go. Um, Brought my standard katana core with a couple of units stuffed into the trees here. I have a unit of matchlock Ashigaru's hiding out in the trees. I have two Yari Ashigaru, Yari Samurai. I've got two bow Ashigaru somewhere. Nope, just one, apparently. Just one bow Ashigaru. So, and then 5 katana samurai. Over here we have a light cavalry, and then 3 more hiding in the trees. So, a couple things. Sort of want to talk about my setup a little bit, what my reasoning behind on this map specifically, why I do the deployments I do, and my successes with this deployment, my failures with this deployment, or things I could change. So, first of all, anytime I mention an army with a core, like this one, I call it katana core. That means the katanas are going to be the unit that is going to win me the battle. Everything else, generally speaking, the units that's going to make me win or lose the battle is my katana samurai. Everything else I have in the army is there to support the army. I have a few units of spears to ward off cavalry, and once the opponent's cavalry is dealt with, I have those Ashigaru especially are great for just going and getting in the way of enemy units, tying them down, which leaves my cavalry open, or sorry, my katana samurai open to flank and generally cause havoc in the enemy lines. The other thing too is I bring the matchlocks, just they're there to flank again, be a target bait for cavalry. Same with my missile units, they're just generally there as deliberate bait. How I use my light cavalry, especially on this map, and depending on who I'm facing, what I've done here is I've got 3 in hiding, and I've got 1 deliberately out in the open so that my opponent sees it. And I mean, I know this particular opponent knows me better than most, so I'm pretty sure, at this point, I'm pretty sure he knows I've got units in hiding, just whether or not it's in this stand of trees, in this stand of trees in the middle, or in this long row, really is you know, he knows something's hiding somewhere, because definitely this isn't all. I haven't spent everything that's visible. I haven't spent all my koku. So now, speaking of my opponent's army, we'll take a quick run over to what my opponent has visible. So my opponent has 2 Naginata attendants up front, a Yari Samurai, Naginata Samurai, long Yari Ashigaru, which can be a difficult unit to deal with, especially with that bonus to melee defense, so rank 9. And then we have his leadership general right here. And over on this side, we can see my opponent has a Yari Ashigaru. Now, my first thought is he's going to try to use his unit. I'll start playing the battle because nothing much is going to happen anyways for the first little bit. My first thought is his Ashigaru is here to either cause havoc, cause trouble, slow me down from taking a building, getting in the way. But seeing as I deployed all my units on this side, he's going to try to save his Yari Ashigaru and pull them back across the river, so no big deal. So what I started to do, I made a number of mistakes in this battle, which, spoiler alert, I lose, mostly because I made a number of miscues and my opponent was able to capitalize on them, and really just absolutely wreck me when I should have at the very least made this battle go on longer than it did. So now that we have a chance to see more of my opponent's forces have come out, he also has a bow samurai. So ranged, He has probably the ranged advantage because he has bow samurai versus my one bow Ashigaru. So even though my Ashigaru is a veteran, generally bow samurai will out one-on-one, unupgraded. Bow samurai will come about even with bow Ashigaru. The range for them is both the same. I mean, my range here is 150. His range on his, wherever the hell they went, right there, is oh, he's got a range bonus too. So, because he's got veterans there. So yeah, his unit's going to outrange mine. So automatically ranged advantage is his. So for me to skirmish, I would have to be extremely aggressive. So mistake number 2. Actually, so I mentioned I made a few mistakes. First one was when I deployed on this side. I don't normally mind deploying on this map on the side with one building, especially when I think that the building I'm going to capture is the workshop, because between the shrine and the workshop, they're both the 2 best buildings in the game. I mean, the sword dojo is also good for this particular army, but based on the retainers I have, getting the sword dojo is usually a secondary or tertiary importance to me. Typically the first 2 that I want to try to grab, if they're available, is the shrine or the workshop. So seeing as the shrine was on the other side of the map, and I had a feeling that my opponent would deploy on the side with the 2 buildings, I don't mind deploying on the side with 1, especially when I think it's the workshop. But as we can see, when I go to put my when I put my mouse over the building, I see that it's the farmhouse. So my immediate reaction to that is going to scroll across the screen right now, and yeah, I was less than thrilled. So for right now, I'm sending my light cavalry off to go ambush patrol, make sure he hasn't put anything else in the trees here, and I'm deciding I'm going to get really aggressive with my light cavalry, because anytime I can, I want to try to get some early action with my cavalry to cause as much havoc as I can, disorganization. Now, the next series of mistakes I made were, while I had these units running around to try to get into his cavalry, get into his general or his bows or something of his. I mean, he did bring a spear-heavy army, so my cavalry won't do well. My options are very limited as far as what I can hit and where, so I'd have to probably, if I was going to hit a spear unit, it would have to be a high-value unit like his monks, and I'd have to have 1 unit hit in the front and then one unit hit from the rear, which is highly micromanagement intensive, but I have been able to do it in the past, so it's not something I'm terribly worried about not being able to accomplish. But the biggest mistake here, throwing the cavalry away, I do all the time, and it's a high risk, high reward thing. I mean, 3 light cavalry, I've managed to take down a Yari cavalry and katana cavalry with 3 fresh light cavalry. It's all in the charge. Light cavalry suck in melee. Their only real good thing about them is their scouting ability and their charge. Second only to Yari cavalry and Great Guard. But while I was doing that, what I should have been doing, because at this point too, I think there could be some more cavalry hiding in the trees, but what I should have been doing is, now that I know his cavalry is on this side of the river, but this time I should have started moving my Yari Ashigaru up front and used 1 or 2 probably 1 unit of them to screen my infantry as I came across, because he does have a unit of bows there. I'm not terribly worried about losing too many units to bow fire, especially if I'm running across the river. I mean, I am slower, but if I do space put my infantry on loose formation, they won't lose as many men in the unit. So I'm not terribly worried about crossing the river. It's more just having the Yari Ashigaru there in front to take the arrows, so that my katanas don't, because the Yari Ashigaru aren't going to win the battle for me. It's going to be the katanas. So the next mistake is, the mistake that I made was not moving over with my spears leading and getting my bows in position to start tearing into some of his weaker infantry, like his Ashigaru or his monks. So little sloppy on that. I did not. The next mistake I made is I didn't do anything with this light cavalry. So I'm sacrificing 2 light cavalry here just to slow his down. Try to get off a decent charge, but mostly to slow it down. And the next thing I'm going to try to do is micro these cavalry through his lines and try to get them in the rear, and I end up just getting caught up in them, and that's it. Oh, and we have a bow cavalry that's popped out too. The one thing I can rely on my opponent in this bringing is a very unique and diverse army, one that's usually hard to sort of identify the exact core, like the exact thing that's going to make him win the battle, which does make my task generally harder, but hey, I welcome a challenge. So yeah, anyways, so we're gonna, nothing's really happening right now. I'm just gonna double speed because I'm just basically watching my cavalry die off and then go, well, okay, there goes any advantage I could have had is now gone. So next mistake, like I said, spears coming up, but they're not coming up fast enough. And then, like I said, I should have had, I am rapid advancing my Yari Samurai to try to get up there soon enough to protect against cavalry. But unfortunately, I'm not going to get there fast enough. This is definitely lots of impatience on my part. Definitely try to be too aggressive here. But I will say, I mean, the sacrificial cavalry did get this unit down to almost half strength. This one's basically fine. Did I get anything else? That's his light cavalry. Got a few of them, no big deal. Didn't touch his general, but so trading 3 cavalry for that little damage, probably not the best use of my cavalry. But you know, didn't do too well on that. No spears here to protect, so all my spears are over here for some reason. Totally lost track of where his cavalry was, and racing these matchlocks over to try, yeah, totally mismanaging the use of my infantry here. I am finally getting a unit of spears over to try to cover my flank as fast as I can. But unfortunately, he's going to get a nice rear charge into my infantry. Way too slow on my my micromanagement for my spears. And his light cavalry is doing what light cavalry is supposed to do, is just charge in. They're usually only good for 1 charge. You're lucky if you can get a 2nd charge before they get totally torn up in melee. This light cavalry is going to get pinned up on my Yaris for a moment. But yeah, this is basically a lesson in how not to attack with any army, but particularly this army. Basically left out my my katanas completely vulnerable to cavalry, and left them completely unsupported. So I mean, losing my cavalry, I do that all the time, and I know how to play without cavalry. I know how to win without, I don't necessarily need my light cavalry to win the battle, especially against an army that's entirely, you know, a heavy spear army. So, but anyways, I will say it's always fun playing this guy, because you never know exactly how the battle's going to go. We're both about even as far as skill. He definitely worked every single one of my mistakes to his advantage, and the couple advantages I did have, I totally squandered. So anyways, it was a well played match, and look forward to playing him again. Definitely there's going to be a few more videos of us coming out, because we keep running into each other. So anyways, have a good one. Hope you guys enjoyed, and don't do like I did there. That is not how you attack. So anyways, have a good one, guys.